It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Bethany Lutheran assistant volleyball coach, Coach Amy Opsal. How are you doing today?
Hi, Brandon. Good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college volleyball?
Yeah, so I had kind of a professional marketing career for about 5 years, and I coached high school on the side. So I loved going to high school practice every day. That's what I kind of look forward to. And then when I came to the realization that that's the best part of my day, and I miss the team atmosphere, I miss the training. I definitely enjoyed wearing athletic clothing more. I just was like, I need to go pursue this. And I was ready to get my master's degree. So I started kind of searching for some GA positions or maybe like a second assistant in the metro. And the first and only person to actually reach out was Abby from UWSP, now at Green Bay. And I interviewed for a GA position and we just clicked and she gave me my first opportunity. So I owe it to, Coach Abby Sutherland for getting me in this career.
Of course, what was that experience like for you getting to play collegiate volleyball?
Yeah, getting to play collegiate volleyball was awesome. It was just a dream of mine. I was a three-sport athlete in high school, and I was getting recruited from smaller schools for basketball and track, but volleyball was just my passion. So I just started, and so I'll date myself a little bit because it's just for the story. I would send out highlight DVDs because that's how you did it at the time, just to all the schools trying to get just a phone call or an email or just some sort of invite to figure out this recruiting process, since I was the only person in my family to play collegiate sports at the time. So Augsburg gave me a call. Uh, Coach at the time, Coach Jessica Reinhardt, she's now in Ankeny, Iowa, doing great things, multi-state champ, came and watched me. And I think I was just kind of on the team as a utility player because I had a great attitude. I was really athletic and I loved volleyball.
Of course, what was that experience like going to Augsburg and getting to put on that uniform?
Yeah, I loved Augsburg. And I just had such a great experience with culture and teammates. Like some teammates I still talk with today. I was in one of their weddings. Our culture experience was first and foremost the thing that kept us together. So putting on the jersey just made it more fun because I mean you get to match with all your teammates, and just represent a school that you love.
Of course, during your college time, what were some of your biggest playing accomplishments?
For me, I was a DS, which is in volleyball just a really tough position because you only get to play through your rotations. Sometimes you're the first to get cut if you get into substitution trouble. So some of my great accomplishments weren't the game, but I was my senior year awarded the MIAC Sportsmanship Award, which to me I think was really special. Again, just those relationships with my teammates and how like they're sustained today. And I'm still connected with the program, go to games, visit often. Well, now sometimes I'm on the other bench, so it's a little more interesting experience for me. But yeah, I would say my greatest accomplishments was really outside of the court and everything else that came with being on a team.
Of course, after playing in college, what was it like going on the club level and becoming a head coach on the club level for Minnesota?
So that was fun. All the short background is that my coaching friend was there and he was moving. So he kind of asked if I would just fill in for a few practices. And then I was there for 4 years. Uh, so Having just that experience in the club level, we got to practice in the pavilion, which was a dream. At the University of Minnesota, you get to play in a Big Ten gym and not be an NCAA sport. So that was an experience I'll remember forever. For club, we have a lot less rules than the NCAA. There just isn't as much around off season or recruiting. So that was almost like dipping my toe in the world of it's still organized and we still travel to like Michigan State, UCLA, but we didn't have to go through operations to do travel or find like fundraising for jerseys. It was kind of like we paved the way ourselves.
How was that experience like getting your first start on the college level and going to Stevens Point and becoming an assistant coach?
That was incredible. So I had in my GA, I had two different coaches. So my first year was with Abby Sutherland, who I said she's also at UW Green Bay. Just very tenured, really experienced, had experience in the Final Four, just learned a lot about practice planning and sustainability over a really difficult WIAC conference schedule. I even this past season, I think 6 of the 7 WIAC teams were ranked in the nation. It's just some of the best volleyball. And then my second year, I was with Coach Lindsay Hoy, who's still there today. I think Clapper is her married name now, and just doing incredible things. But it was I think beneficial to me to go through 1 year with a very tenured head coach and 1 year with a first year head coach, and just really learn and see the journey between those two experiences and how that reflects in the gym.
What were some of the things that you learned between both of those coaches to then help you to go to Northern Virginia?
So everything really came back to culture, relationships, building community. I learned that just Division III volleyball takes a special person, and all those Division III coaches out there are just incredible since they work 4 or 5 roles in their one job. But the thing that stuck with me was really culture and community. So I kind of shifted my NCAA journey to the youth club level. So I moved out to Virginia, the state, from Wisconsin, which most people don't leave the Midwest from there, and started working in the club world because I just really wanted to make a difference at that level. Northern Virginia Volleyball Association was a big club in the area and always on like kind of the top lists. So I figured if I was able to get into one of those clubs, I could, bring a positive experience and really promote a culture versus a profit chaser.
Of course, coming to Bethany Lutheran, what was that experience like coming there with all of your experience?
It was a homecoming. So I think everyone has a post-COVID coaching story. So mine was just, I was on the East Coast, I was away from my family, and I wanted just to move home. And I really did it. I moved to my hometown, where my parents still live, my grandparents still live, and got the opportunity to talk to the coach at Bethany Lutheran College, who I was also familiar with. Like all coaches, we all kind of know each other, 6 degrees of separation. And I was able to secure an assistant spot, and it was just a great homecoming. The ladies were wonderful. I got to coach in a gym where I was a camper. So it was just great and really felt meant to be.
Of course, as you talked about that, coming back home and getting a coach at Bethany Lutheran, what has that been like getting to see your family and having them see you as a coach?
It's a different experience for sure. I have 2 nephews that they will come and they will, share their popcorn with me while I'm on the bench or ask me what the score is. But I'll answer them even from the bench because I just love that they're engaged and interested and really like becoming fans of the school and the team. The ladies, I'll give them high fives. It's a really like family atmosphere anyway. So to see my nephews in the stands and my family coming to all the games or watching online and texting me afterwards, it's just nice to have them supportive and involved.
For you as a coach, what was that feeling like getting to step onto that court that you played many years?
Surreal. Again, surreal and meant to be. It's super exciting. Like we have practice tonight, and I'm already looking forward to it. Even in year 3, I just get excited to go to the gym and practice. Because that's kind of what it's all about is the connections, the relationships, the 1% better each day, and the game is just that's the result. And it's cool to have wins and losses, but what comes after you're done with those 4 years is much more important.
So far as the assistant coach, what have you been able to accomplish at Bethany Lutheran?
So within our Bethany Lutheran program, so almost my experience at Stevens Point, I've coached with 2 coaches now. So again, a tenured head coach and then a tenured first year head coach who is actually my coach at Augsburg. So small world. And we've just been able to accomplish establishment. So we've established our name in the conference, we've established our name in the community. We've established players' names, like people are writing about them now and talking about them. So really gaining that vision and respect for Bethany Lutheran College volleyball.
Of course, as a coach, as you talked about that, what has that been like, obviously establishing the name in the conference?
It's really difficult. I kind of, tip my hat off to other coaches out there that they just are so great at creating opportunity and they just go for it. And I've really learned, I think, through all my years that it's all about creating opportunities for yourself. So you need to send an email or sign up for that thing or make the phone call. You just kind of have to go for it and try to get the ball rolling, maybe get a spot on the news, like just kind of send it out there and see what happens.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus for your players?
It's very different being a coach versus a player. We start the game day routine 3 days early, right? So we have our scouting report, we have our scouting practice, we're looking at stats, we're editing lineups. So that's all in pre-production, so to speak, before the game. And then game day, we're kind of watching film, proofreading the scouting report before we deliver it to the players. But I just like players like to kind of hang out together. Coaches do too. So we will just chat and kind of settle our nerves a little bit before heading into the game time situation, maybe listen to some music. We often do a team meeting, and for us at Bethany Lutheran College, a prayer. And I think it just helps bring us all a little closer together.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped to build for Bethany Lutheran College?
So our culture is just really rooted in Christ. Christ is kind of the main aspect of everything. So whatever you decide to do, whether you're trying to learn a new skill or go up against a nationally ranked team or do anything, you can do it with confidence because you are loved, you're capable, you're wanted. And the ladies just really are fearless. They just kind of go for it. And like every young woman, you kind of go through, maybe you feel like a failure or you're just not having a good week, but to watch them support each other and kind of turn it around in those different aspects is what I'm most proud of. And even within my first year coaching there, some of those seniors that I had, so I only coached them for about 4 months. We still chat and they come to games and we see each other and hug. So again, it always just kind of goes back to that culture building.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against each week?
So our most well-known is Northwestern. So Northwestern, Minnesota. They were fortunate enough to go to the Final Four again this year, and have just kind of raised the level of play in our conference. And then we also have UW Superior. So they're another just probably recognized team. Lynn has been there for a long time and does a really great job. We also have our conference is really small. So we also have like Martin Luther, Northland, Crown, and North Central in Minneapolis.
What is that like, obviously, getting to compete with so many big teams in your conference? And what is that home game atmosphere like compared to the away atmosphere?
We really embrace the opportunity. So any opportunity we have to play a ranked team, like that's kind of what we want for ourselves. So even though it might be scary, or you're kind of going in just thinking you're going to lose, it's not really a guarantee. So no team is ever guaranteed a W. So really just jumping in there against those ranked teams. Our home gym is very cute and quaint. So we have about 8 rows of bleachers that just get filled almost every single game, no matter who we play. If we kind of play our highway rival, Gustavus, it's a little more full, and we have a walking track and a drum line, which was really cool this year. They decided to come to a few games, and it's just hype. Our home court atmosphere is awesome. Our students are really supportive. They really commit to the theme nights, so that helps with some laughs on the bench just to keep it light.
Of course, what does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
For Division III, it's just all about communication. So if you are a prospective student athlete who sees themselves at our school, that's first and foremost. The most important thing is you have to pick the school that you want to go to versus maybe a team you want to play for. Just because these Division III schools sometimes are really small, you spend a lot of time on campus and are super involved. So it's really important that you find the school that you want to be a part of. And then second, we look at the player. So is the player personality, I would say. Are they giving high fives? Are they leading the huddle? Are they cheering for their team on the sideline? If they have a bad game, are they pouting or are they smiling? Because the skills can always be taught, but that internal kind of drive or competitive spirit cannot. So we really look for those players that want to be all in and go for it.
As a coach, what is it like seeing those prospective student athletes fall in love with the Bethany Lutheran's volleyball court along with the campus?
It's amazing because you almost get to see two people. So you kind of get to see this, very high school young lady, a little nervous about almost everything. And then about 2 weeks into the season, they can act like a veteran if they are close with a junior or a senior. So seeing that just like development and acceptance and all in personality is just amazing to watch them go from being just a nervous freshman to a more confident freshman.
As a coach at Bethany Lutheran, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that uniform for the first time?
I mean, I'll say it out loud. I don't know if other people will. Sometimes they cry and sometimes we cry. So it's just emotional to see their goals really come to life and watch them just be super excited to wear their jersey, whether, it's red, black, white, pink. We have a variety of jerseys that they get to put on. So each time they're like, this is the first time I'm wearing the black jersey. And it's just, I think, a really core memory for most players when they first put on the jersey or first get in the match. So that's always fun to remember, especially if it's something funny happened or they have to throw the stats clipboard so they can go sub it or
Of course, as a coach, what is it like seeing them achieve those big milestones like their first digs, their first scores, and their first assists?
Yeah, it's often very remembered. We had a player, I've coached her now for 3 years, and she just made her 1,000th dig. And it's so funny because now that she's made that 1,000th dig, that's the one that I remember versus her first dig or her first play in the game. So it's just fun to see them accomplish things, and then it's almost in your memory bank. You kind of get rid of the older plays and you kind of replace it with these like new accomplishments and just are able to remind your players if they're feeling down or maybe they're not getting enough playing time, like, hey, look at all this success that you've had. And just remembering that that's kind of why you're playing and it's not for the awards or the playing time.
What is it like seeing those seniors put on that uniform for the last time and then put on their first professional uniform?
It's just sometimes unspeakable. I would say I've even had players who switch formats. So they've gone from indoor to beach, and just to see them realize that their passion and love for the game is growing so much, that they're able to just almost play a little more free. So once they kind of create that level of play that's just, I would say, elite, once they figure it out, because sometimes it just takes being in a college program, and having multiple coaches to get into a place where maybe you're not talking so much about skill, but more about strategy, that they just kind of get to shine.
Of course, as you talked about that, what is that like as a coach seeing those players go from indoor to beach volleyball?
It's cool. I'm a big proponent of playing multiple formats. I think it's great for just skill development and like having that strategic brain. So trying to figure out like, oh, here's a situation. How are we going to win? Here's a new situation. How are we going to win? It's raining. How are we going to win? So the beach, I think is a great place for players to really develop, again, that like competitive spirit, all in attitude, and really trying to win no matter what the elements are throwing at you.
What is it like getting to see those players go on and playing in Athletes Unlimited and professional volleyball?
I would say I've never seen my players play on television until they have Athletes Unlimited and creating these opportunities, or even Pro Volleyball Federation. So seeing players that I have coached, whether it was at camp or on the beach on TV, I'm just so proud. I'm proud of women's sports. I'm proud of the players. I'm proud of anyone that's involved in creating these leagues. I just think that everyone watches women's sports, and now that we're able to be on the larger networks and just more accessible is incredible.
What are some of your future plans with Bethany Lutheran's volleyball program moving forward?
Yeah, we're just, it's culture every day. So culture building and we have a recruiting class of 12. So we're going to be very young, and just teaching, our seniors who are just so used to being underclassmen or not the oldest, on how, to kind of lead from experience or lead by example, or being able to reach out to these young ladies and include them in on what open gym or team building, or just anything that keeps people involved that coaches don't have to facilitate.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college volleyball?
Just be all in. So whatever you're doing, whether you kind of feel a little self-conscious or are nervous about something, if you would just go all in, and ask questions and create relationships, you'll be just fine.
What advice would you give those seniors looking to go play professional volleyball, whether it's Athletes Unlimited or going overseas?
Create opportunities for yourself. So kind of again what we talked about earlier, just make the phone call, reach out to someone on Instagram, send an email, watch video, uh, just find those ways that you can create connections, whether it's with a coach or a team member or a staff member in these different leagues, to find out like, hey, is there an open gym? Is there a tryout? Like what's kind of happening around here? So you could create that opportunity for yourself.
What advice would you give those college players looking to go coach after their playing career?
I loved the GA experience. I think that's so great, where you can continue your education, and you can get coaching experience. So anytime there is a GA opportunity, I know they're typically posted by the programs, but that's where I would say is the number one thing you can do for yourself, is become that GA before you take on your first coaching job.
What advice would you give those future assistant coaches out there looking to become assistant coaches on the college volleyball level?
Again, you got to create opportunities for yourself. I know that some of the old school ways is to be the yes man, but sometimes I don't think that always helps, being an assistant. So when you are able to provide like your own feedback and your own vision, but also do it very respectfully and more with a team involvement versus a I'm right, you're wrong situation. I think that makes a really great assistant coach and it makes people want to work with you.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Bethany Lutheran College volleyball program at?
Yeah, so on Instagram, we are at BLC Volleyball and also Facebook. And then for me, I'm a big Instagram girl. So I'm at Upsala on Instagram.
Thank you again, Coach Amy Opsal, for your interview and best luck in your future at Bethany Lutheran College.
All right, thanks, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon. And you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Amy, for your interview and best luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.